The Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens, they will rematch. The last time we saw them go up against one another, it was a fierce battle with the Ravens coming out on top thanks to a 51-yard run by Derrick Henry in overtime to set up the game-winning field goal, which ultimately ended in the Ravens winning 41-38. Both quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson as well as Joe Burrow, played extremely well in this game, with Lamar Jackson going 26 of 42 for 348 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, while Joe Burrow went 30 of 39 for 392 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. This is going to be a tremendous matchup. Thursday Night Football, I want to know, do you think the Bengals could take, by the way, 6.5-point favorites to the Baltimore Ravens, do you think that the Bengals can get their revenge after a crushing overtime loss all the way back? I believe this was week 5. Do you think the Bengals can get it done on Thursday?
My takeaway is at 4-5, the Bengals have climbed back into playoff race and are relevant again. The power ranking's 20, which is down there, but lately they've been playing a lot better. Each of the previous 3 seasons, they've been 5-4 at the 9-week mark. They're 4-5 this year, so they're 1 game behind that. I think I'm surprised at the 6.5-point spread, given the way the teams played in the first matchup. I don't think that the Ravens will cover. I do think they're going to win. And I've got the score at a high-scoring game at 34-31. You look at last week, the Bengals beat the Raiders 41-21. Baltimore beat Denver 41-10. And the Ravens have won 6 of 7 at home. You look at Lamar, he's 68.2% completion, 2,379 yards, 20 TDs, 2 interceptions, 120.7 quarterback rating. Not bad. Not bad. And this past week, he was 16-19, 84% completion, 280 yards, and 3 TDs. And that's not the only great player they got on the team. They got Derrick Henry, 168 carries, 1,052 yards, 11 touchdowns. He's had 12 plays of 20 yards or more. The guy is he's right up there with Lamar in terms of if you want to talk about MVP contention. They were, after the game, they were interviewing both Henry and Jackson, and Henry said he's MP3, MV3, most valuable player for the 3rd time. We'll have to wait and see about that. But so on the Bengals side, Burrow, he could be an MVP candidacy if he keeps playing the way he's been playing lately. 70.2% completion percentage, 2,244 yards, 20 TDs, 4 interceptions, 108 quarterback rating. Raiders last week, against the Raiders last week, 22 of 39, 251 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's been going to Jamar Chase. He's had 55 receptions for 717 yards, 13 yards a catch, 7 touchdowns. So I think this is going to be a close game. And I think that it will be fun to watch. Some of the Thursday night games, so-so. But, I think given the way the the Bengals have bounced back from 0-3 start, and Burrow operating at near MVP level, even with T. Higgins missing, I think it's going to be good. I think that I'm skeptical about the Bengals' playoff chances, given that they have not beaten any of the league's heavyweights. They have no victories against winning teams. Their remaining schedule is pretty tough. They got the Ravens. Of course, that's a very tough game. At the Chargers, it's going to be tough. They play the Steelers at home. And then the Cowboys, they should be able to win that one at Cowboys. At Titans, they ought to win that one. At the Browns at home, they ought to win that one. Probably can beat the Broncos, although we'll see how the Broncos are playing by then. And then at the Steelers. So they got to find 6 wins in there, I think. 6-4, 10-7 to have a shot at the playoffs. I'd say maybe they can beat the Chargers, the Steelers once, the Cowboys, the Titans, the Browns, and the Broncos to get there. But that's not going to be easy. The Ravens, they've got the power ranking as number 4 now. Some skepticism given that they give up a lot of points in the 4th quarter. I mean, that's still a problem for them. And they've lost to 2 last-place teams this year. How'd they let that happen? They tend to play down to their competition and play well against the better teams, which might be good for them because they have a tough schedule. They'll play better against the for the good teams. My takeaway, Baltimore 34, Cincinnati 31, but the Ravens don't cover the point spread.
Well, I said, I think, a year or two ago that when fully healthy, I would take Joe Burrow as the best quarterback in the NFL. Now, obviously, some things have changed, like one particular quarterback winning multiple Super Bowls, but I think the level of play of Joe Burrow has remained relatively consistent when healthy. And he's done his best job with T. Higgins being injured. Offensive line, obviously, is not great. Running game is very ineffective, although Chase Brown has picked it up, and they actually got Khalil Herbert today, which I think will be much improved with Zach Moss being out indefinitely with a neck issue when they got for Joe Mixon from last year. And the defense has been pretty abysmal through large parts of this season. They ranked 19th in total defense, while 25th in points allowed. I'm taking Joe Burrow to win again, because if it wasn't for a botched snap for a rookie punter on a field goal, the Bengals would have won in Week 5. Joe Burrow played tremendous in that game. And you could look at, oh, well, he had an interception. Oh, didn't matter. It didn't matter. Everything before that botched snap did not matter. It didn't matter that Joe Burrow could have led down in the fourth quarter to go and win the game. Didn't matter. It really didn't matter. If you just don't botch the snap from a rookie punter and let Evan McPherson kick at least a reliable field goal, that's perfectly fine. And it didn't even matter that they ran it 3 straight times right before then, when Joe Burrow had the hot hand in the passing game. Didn't matter. For up until that point, the fact that they were in position to kick a field goal was all that mattered. And if the rookie punter did not botch the snap, my guess would be Ravens would have lost that game. Probably. Instead, you missed the field goal. Derrick Henry breaks free for a 50-yard run. You kick the game-winning field goal. Everybody goes crazy. Ravens continue their hot streak at that time. So for me, I'm going for the Cincinnati Bengals. I understand that they actually had their worst defensive game in that game, allowing 520 yards. But they also had their best offensive game with 442 offensive yards. Now, running-wise, they're not a great team, obviously. Passing-wise, Joe Burrow at 371 yards. So I'm taking Joe Burrow, who, when healthy, is the better pass. And when it comes down to it, it will rely on the quarterback passing the football. They also did a good job up until that 50-plus yard run to slow down Derrick Henry, who had about 40-ish yards right before that overtime run. So they did a great job at stopping the run.
Mm-hmm. The final score was they lost the game.
Right, they lost 41-38 on a botched kick, and then you let Derrick Henry run 51 yards.
I think it's going to be competitive, but I just think you look at the Bengals, they haven't beaten a team with a winning record yet. They haven't beaten a team that has a winning record.
They've come, like, for instance, Chiefs, 4-13. You give, was it 4-13 or 4-19? You give up a defensive pass interference call, you lose by 1 point. The Commanders, they could not stop Jaden Daniels. 38-33.
Yeah.
Then you go up against, the Philadelphia Eagles, they just completely outplayed you. Defense finally stepped up for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts had a very poor start, but then picked it up very quickly. And then, obviously, the Ravens game. Botched snap. I think this is a bad placement. You missed the field goal. You run down, kick again.
This game is a benchmark for the Bengals, so they have to win this game. I think they have to look at this as a must-win.
Honestly, their schedule is the next 3 games. Their entire season is must-win. They're filled with must-win games. But the next 3 weeks, including Thursday, at Ravens, at Chargers, versus Steelers.
It's tough.
Those are very, very difficult games. At Cowboys, that would be if Dak Prescott goes on IR. The last week he would be on IR. If they don't put him on IR, who knows? Maybe he'll be back by then. Then at Titans, that should be a win. Versus the Browns, that should be a win. Versus Denver, you're a better team than Denver, that should be a win. And then at Pittsburgh to end the year. Every single game is a must-win. Going into this game, though, think about it. I'll say it again. If people didn't hear me before, I'll repeat it again. Up until that overtime run, which shouldn't have even existed, if the rookie punter didn't botch the snap on the field goal, he would have had around 40-ish yards. Derrick Henry would have. And this is a guy who currently is on pace to be the first player in NFL history to have two 2,000-yard rushing seasons. And you allowed him to have a little bit over 40 rushing yards. Shut him down. And this is one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And you're going up against a team in the Baltimore Ravens that have the worst pass defense in the NFL. So I agree. This is going to be a very high-scoring game. Joe Burrow's going to have, I think, another tremendous game. I think a big X factor here will be T. Higgins' availability. Now, he was a DNP this week I think that
Lamar and Derrick Henry will have a field day because the Bengals' defense is average at best.
I mean, I'm sure everybody would have said that last time they played. But the Bengals did a tremendous job at slowing them down.
Yeah.
Now, Lamar
Jackson... They didn't slow Lamar down that
right,
game.
Lamar
had a fantastic game. And in the end, so did Derrick Henry. He was the reason they won.
Well, yeah.
In overtime, he had the 51-yard run. That wasn't so bad.
I think that if Joe Burrow gets the hot hand, I think Zach Taylor will learn from his mistake in handing the ball off 3 straight times in overtime to set up the field goal. I think they'll be more open to passing it and say, you know what, if we stop the clock, who cares? Joe Burrow's throwing for damn near 400 yards. Let's just keep. He has 5 passing touchdowns. Let's just keep the ball in his end. And I found it very interesting, honestly, that you're crushing the Raiders, and you're leaving Joe Burrow out there. I think that was more of a morale boost, saying you've right now thrown 5 touchdowns. Throw a 6th. I want to see you throw a 6th. Keep it going. Keep this momentum going into this game against the Ravens. Because Joe Burrow has been clicking as of late. This offense has been doing a very good job, I think, in recent memory. Yes, they had one bad loss against the Eagles. But up until that point, they've done a very good job.
They have not beat a team that has a winning record.
Well, they're about to on Thursday.
Okay, well, we'll see. I'm picking the Ravens.
What's your score again?
34-31.
I'll go 37-34. Bengals get the win.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
Go Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. And right now, we're looking at Lamar Jackson setting up a 3rd MVP. So, I mean, and that's the thing. To me, winning a 3rd MVP is a tremendous feat. But that's not... at this point, I think a lot of people would agree that while it is phenomenal to win your 3rd MVP, the same problems still come up for Lamar. He does not win or looks great in the postseason.
I'm sure he'd trade one of those, both of the MVPs for a Super Bowl ring.
Absolutely. Because that would put him in very rare company of being one of the most tremendous dual quarterbacks in NFL history who has a Super Bowl win. Like, that would put him in a very special category. Yes, he doesn't have the full accolades. If we get rid of 2 of those MVPs, and if he does win this one, he trades the 2 MVPs for 1 Super Bowl ring. Then we'd have 1 MVP, 1 Super Bowl ring, and is the best 2-way quarterback we've ever seen. Very rare category. But I'm going Bengals here. I think Joe Burrow will get it done. I think that, yes, he threw a late game interception that could have cost him the game when they could have drove and scored a touchdown to win the game. But I think when it comes down to it, Burrow will get it done late. There will be no defense in this game in my mind. It'll be exactly like this past one. No defense, a lot of offense, which is the most exciting one. Bombs away for both teams. Give me Joe Burrow, 37-34. He gets it done, and the Bengals stay alive. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.